Hello, guys. What's going on? My name is Lawton here with Verified Investing, and normally this would be my live AMA, which I go live every morning. The markets are open from 8:45 to 9:20, and I usually just answer any questions that you guys have for me. But in this case, I'll be answering all the other questions we weren't really able to get to during our Get Smart program. It was a lot of fun, and I think that we provided a bunch of really great answers. But I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. Oh, there's so many questions, so this might be a really long video. And I'm still scrolling, so if you bear with me. So Matt says, what brokers do you use? Yeah, we all use different brokerages. I use a couple. I use Thinkorswim and Moo. Dr. B and Drew both use Thinkorswim as well as Interactive Brokers. Gareth uses Interactive Brokers and Merrill Edge, and Benjamin Poole uses TradeStation and Interactive Brokers. That's a really common question we get. So somebody's asking, what crypto exchange do we use to short crypto? So we use one called Blofin, Blofin, and Blofin is a really quite amazing program. Let me see if I can pull it up on my screen to show you guys. Let's see right here. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, so if you scroll all the way to the bottom of our home screen, you can see this right here, Blofin. Click on that and you can learn about all the amazing things about Blofin. You don't need to KYC. You have leverage up to 150 times, and it's really great. Can't recommend it enough, but that is the exchange we are currently using. Go here, do this. All right, I'm still scrolling back because we have tons of questions, hundreds of questions that I'll do my best to get through, the relevant ones at least. Looks like I'm going to be scrolling for a minute. All right, looks like I finally made it. Adam says, what course would be best to learn about day trading in and out within the same day? Yeah, I would say that that's a great question. I would say probably the 1 Minute Scalpel. 1 Minute Scalpel is Dr. B's flagship course. It talks about wedges and how to trade using the 1 minute chart if you're not familiar with. So. All right. Next question. Let's see here. 1 second, guys. I gotta go back and scroll again because I just clicked off of that page. So just to give you a little insight into our live day trading room, we have a pretty high win rate in there, above 80% as a whole. I think we talked about that earlier. I think it's probably our most popular and potentially profitable service, just because we're averaging, through this year, and granted this year is only 1.5 months in, but about over a 10% return per month. So, all right. Next question. Let's see. John says, what screeners do you use to identify stocks in play? Yeah, so if we are, and I see this asked a bunch of different ways, and we did answer it a little bit. But for example, if you have any sort of, trading, like this is TradingView, for example, you can sort it by the largest changes, the biggest change up or down in terms of percentage. So for example, WRD is moving a lot, right? You see that it's up 83%. That would be on our radars. But with something that volatile, we might not want to touch it too much. Billy up 11% in a day. And this is all Friday because the markets are closed today. But this is something we would have looked at as a potential trade just because it's moving a lot. Francis says, when looking for gaps in the chart, do you use data outside of regular trading hours? Generally not, no. Because if you use data outside of regular trading hours, you see this gap here, watch what happens. There's not really as many gaps. You see there's a huge gap here just because price action spiked, just because of expected good news, right? But that generally doesn't happen too much. See in video, we had a steep drop and then recovery. But if we turn off extended trading hours, there are significantly more gaps, and you want to you pretty much want to use regular trading hours when talking about gaps for the most part. Willem says, did Euro USD make a head and shoulders head and shoulders pattern? Let's look on the daily. Okay, so if you're talking about shoulder, head, shoulder, we're talking about this shoulder, I would kind of call this another shoulder. We kind of want this to kind of roll over a bit. If you're saying this is a shoulder, I guess it technically could be. The neckline would be relatively similar, but the problem is this is upsloping, right? If I want to do this, one of the requirements of a head and shoulders is it to be upsloping, right? But just this wick is so low. So if it was like here, it would be downsloping, which would invalidate the head and shoulders. I want this to roll over and create another shoulder before I'd really be interested in calling it something like that. Where's the potential bottom on uranium? I think that you're breaking out of a wedge pattern, right, which is pretty bearish. Close looks like you're going to close below. I mean, you could see it come down here about 3.5% lower-ish, or significantly more to this gap fill, which would be approximately 7% lower. But you have a bunch of trading over here, so this thing could really fall, could take a tumble. Magnus says, any thoughts about the Pi coin, which will launch this week later? I'm not too well versed in that, unfortunately, so I can't give you an answer. Davis says, AI does not play the way the humans play. How will AI play the market? So AI will revolutionize the way that trading is being made. It already has started. The algorithms have already begun. And they know what markets generally do. That's based on human behavior. So generally, as AI gets better, they're going to be better than us. But, we just need to learn how to play AI to our advantage. Robert says, do topping tails work on the 1 minute and 5 minute charts or only on the daily and weekly? Yeah, they do work. Absolutely. Alex wants to know if there's a way that we can limit risk, especially in day trading. Yeah, when we day trade, we have a max loss. for each trader pretty much has their own max loss depending on what they're willing to risk. Like, for example, because my gains are generally around $1,000 to $1,500, my max loss is anywhere between $6,000 to $8,000. So if I take a 6,000 loss and my average win is around $1,500, like, I'm not going to complain about, taking a loss, and I can make it back up in 4 trades, especially with my win rate currently sitting around 90. It's currently 93% for the month. And she says, "Hi guys, thank you for all the wonderful education and insight. I was wondering, with all the government layoffs, downsizing, do you think this will affect the stock market or crypto, specifically the future jobs and unemployment data?" Absolutely, 100%. Whenever you see widespread layoffs, you see huge changes in unemployment data, just because they're directly correlated. Billy says, "What is the best way for me to take $100,000 and turn into $1 million?" I would say that you should take small gains. Look for small, consistent trades, small gains. And I think a day trading room does a really good job of that. I think last year we were up like double, like 2x our portfolio. So over 2x. So over 100% return on a year. T-Face says, "Hi, what factors do you consider when deciding how often you add to a position when you're dollar cost averaging in a day trade? Also, what factors do you consider when deciding what your profit target should be in a given trade?" Yeah, I think that well, at least for me, when I'm in a day trade and I'm looking to add in a position, I am looking for, let's say I'm going long, I'm looking for support and resistance levels. So I'll look for levels that will provide a bounce and go from there. Jan says, "I joined Smart Money Stocks and ETFs, Commodities as of December 6th. The alerts come in a bit late with a lag time of 5 to 25 minutes, so I missed some profits." Well, here's the thing, right? Generally, our swing trades, the reason why they're swing trades is because they take time to play out. Whether it's a matter of days, or weeks, we are looking for long term. So yeah, if you check your phone 30 minutes late, yeah, you're not going to get in necessarily the same exact entry we did. In some cases, you might have a better entry, right? You might have a better entry than us or a slightly worse entry, but our profits are generally looking for around 15-ish% profit on a stock. So I don't know that. I'm not sure that, 5 to 25 minutes would be a big impact, right? I would say that if you get in late, it's fine. Just get in. I mean, the difference, the margin, right, of your profit may change by 0.5%, if that. David says, "What does Gareth prefer, the 10-minute when day trading?" Yeah, he prefers the 10-minute over the 5, 15, or 1 minute. I prefer the 1 minute, but that's just me. Ashton says, "How can a small investor trade oil or natural gas?" You can trade USO on the stock market, which trades the United States Oil Fund. You can trade KOLD, which is an ETF to short natural gas. Let me see this. and you can chart the oil futures right here. And it looks like I just knocked something over. Yeah. Luke says, where is a good source or website to find the exact earnings times? Do I go to each company's website, for example, or how do I know? You can go to the NASDAQ.com and they'll talk about earnings. You can just type in earnings calendar and they'll tell you. Also on TradingView, for example, if you take a look at like Wolf, you see their earnings. It says the exact time, the day, and then this nighttime will dictate when it's going to come out. Aftermarket, or if it's a sun, it's pre-market. Luke says, can you use things like RSI divergence for the 10-minute candle? Yes. Hi, Rick. We don't really use options too much. Garrett does trade options here and there, but we don't officially have an option service. That's something we are considering in the future, but not something we're currently doing. Andrew says, do you guys do much work in the biotech or startup health sector companies? Curious what is on your radar in that space. Yeah, we don't necessarily. Like, we'll trade anything, right? Whether it's quantum, semiconductors, we'll trade airlines, we'll trade food and beverage, right? Biotech is something that is extremely volatile and moves a lot. It's something that we do look at sometimes. So, for example, RXRX, it's something I previously had looked at. Looks like it had a nice day not too long ago. Let's see. Kareem says, how do you pick and choose a stock to trade? It has to give us a good level to trade. So, for example, looking at something like NIO, we see it's breaking out of a wedge. This is a really good signal for us because it tells us that the bias is likely to have a move to the upside. Ralph says, gentlemen, how big do you think the chances that the expected end of the bull run of Bitcoin is in the second half of this year, regard to the 4-year cycle, when coincide with the also expected big market crash? Well, it's no surprise, right? Crypto is a risk-on asset. If the stock market starts to downturn and tick and tumble, generally, crypto and Bitcoin will follow. Eric says, how do people remember what they want to focus on? Tickers, gaps, shrink the resistance, support and resistance levels, etc. How do you remember? So if you're in the live day trading room, we're going to tell you what we're looking at. We're going to draw it on their charts, and we're going to have those support and resistance levels laid out ahead of time. Manzul says, what's the potential upside of the S&P in this market? It's hard to tell considering this run that it's been on, pretty much a vertical move on the S&P for the past, well, this is really, really steep. for the past year plus. I would say that if I want to keep going, you could keep going and face resistance somewhere in this 630 to 640 level. Craig says, will you ever be able to use your skills to use options or introduce an option service? I watch all your YouTube shows. Thanks. Yeah, Craig. Options is definitely something we're interested in, but none of us are experts in options. But with that being said, it might be something we use in the future. Jovial says, does technical analysis apply to commodities like cocoa, OJ, coffee? Yes, it applies to everything, anything with a chart. That's why we can trade commodities, we can trade crypto, we can trade stocks, ETFs. It doesn't matter. As long as people are trading it, it's going to work. Just because TA is predicated on human behavior, right? That's why it works. So humans trade cocoa, OJ, and coffee, so it will work there. Rich says, is it worth adding to a position that has gone down by over 70 to 80% to bring my average down, or is that throwing good money after the bad? For example, I'm holding shares of BYND back when it was 120, and it's now trading below $4. Should I write it off or throw more money at it? I would say you're looking for a bounce, right? You're not gonna bring your average in from 120 to $4, right? That's kind of what bring your average to. I have no idea, like $60, $70. But what you could do is trade it. When you get a bounce, let's say you catch a bounce like this, you made 33% on that amount of money you put in. So you can just trade it like normal. So like regardless of your average, you can buy here, sell 20%, sell the portion that you put in, and then when it pulls back, you can continue to trade it over and over again rather than a buy and hold and hope it goes up to your average type of thing, especially when you're out of the money that much. I'm going to be right back 1 second, guys. All right, sorry about that. Andrew says, do you offer educational courses for a beginner? I've been trading for approximately 1.5 years. Yeah, we have a bunch of free things that you can check out on our website that you can see. If you're interested, the Winning Trader Series is an amazing course that teaches you all the basics and everything that Gareth has worked up and learned over his time as a trader, and that's the Winning Trader Series. Jonathan says, how do you know when to sell a stock when it's still rising? Do you look for a certain percent gain? You look for resistance. Let's say I'm trading Beyond Meat because we were talking about it earlier, right? I would look to sell potentially right here at this double top. Why? Because I see resistance. I see resistance here. I see resistance here, and it's a 13% gain, right? That's why. I don't sell something for a certain percent gain, but rather when the stock is likely to see resistance. Karush says, can you review LMND? Give me your thoughts. Insurance company down significantly from its highs. Had a good run up, 240%. Wow, these candles are crazy. 11% down. Boom, 14% up. Has earnings next week, a week from tomorrow. I think that these candles are crazy. There's a lot of buying support down here, so that means this is a major area of support, right? So I'd be interested in buying should it come down here. It does have earnings, right? And this thing tends to move significantly off of earnings. Like off of earnings, it moved 26% alone on the last earnings. So I'd keep my eye on that. Keep that in mind when trading that. GLG says, I'm stuck and struggling with gold stock for more than 5 years. Right now, with 30% loss, could you please see the chart and tell me something about it? Thanks a lot. Well, I can't really tell you anything other than it's trading around these previous all-time highs, consistently making new all-time highs. It really wants that $3,000 mark. But when this breaks and falls, I anticipate large downside. Keith said, would love to know how a company like Carvana remains at valuations like this. Why on earth are large holders still holding this? It defies fiduciary duty. Thank you. I would say that we agree that generally this chart is crazy overextended. Boom. It had decent earnings, made new all-time highs, but then fell over 34%. Buyers appear to be stepping in just ahead of earnings. Earnings are on Wednesday, so I think that they're just expecting good news. So that's why this thing is continuing to pump, continuing to go up. But I'd anticipate a pullback. It may do something like, let's see, UAL did. Yeah, UAL had earnings, right? Where did it open up? Boom. We thought this thing was going to the moon, up 5% at the all-time highs, and huge selling candles down 11% in 2 days from its highs, from where it opened up after earnings. So Todd says thoughts on VXX. Yeah, this trades off of volatility. So, if the market starts to have a huge crash or anything, this thing will pop. Morteza says, what would be the advice for people with a full-time job and a small account? Yeah, my advice would be, if you're working your job, that's fine. Don't leave it, and if you needed to support yourself, you can continue doing it. But I wouldn't say just drop everything and go and join, the live day trading, expecting to make a bajillion dollars if you don't have that much starting capital. Get educated, learn on the side, take a course, take a free course, right? Learn, save up, and as your account grows, you can start considering joining one of our services, like our swing trade service. That way, you're able to continue having your full-time job while trading on the side, right? Just because when you day trade, we're in there and you really need to be present the entire time. Scott says, how do we know when it's time to get out of Bitcoin and rotate into various altcoins? Bitcoin is kind of trading in kind of like a wedge. You could use this wedge. There's a parallel channel. There's tons of things you could use. But here, I think it's trading in pretty nice wedge. So if you see this breakout, you could make all-time highs again or continue to make new all-time highs. But it's up to you, right? It depends on when you got in, how much money you're looking to make from a trade like this. Tons of things to know. But just know that when Bitcoin falls, the alts tend to fall faster and harder. Sorry, guys, I'm just reading questions, making sure we did not answer them yet. Ezekiel says, regarding time counts, when do you invalidate those that see thesis? For example, if stocks continue to go up in that specific in that time frame. So if a stock continues to go up within that time frame, you already have a time count of 6, and it keeps going. If it gets to 12, that's a double count time count. And time counts aren't necessarily like valid or invalidated. It's just increases the likelihood of a move in the opposite direction. 6 green candles, you expect. Excuse me. After 6 green candles, you expect a turn to turn down. But if it keeps going up, let's say it gets to 12 candles, the likelihood of a red candle coming soon is maybe soon. John says, sell Solana. It depends on where you purchased it, right? On Solana, you see that broke this trend line or is just playing near that trend line. So if it comes down, breaks this trend line, closes below for today, that's pretty bearish for the stock. Alternatively, right, you could see the formation of a head and shoulder pattern. If this goes up again, creates a nice shoulder, that would be for example, a massive head and shoulders pattern with a potential downside to what is $66, right, which would be significant move down, 63% move. But for now, we just have to wait and see. Scott says, I made 140% on JTAI last week, but how do you determine when to take a loss on a short when the stock continues to go up? How do you decide to wait it out and it goes up? A general rule of thumb for me is when your thesis is invalidated, stop out. Let's say I was short this because for whatever reason, I saw that, wow, this thing bounced like 10% or whatever. Or let's say I wanted to short it if it came here, right, and filled this gap at the $350 level. Well, look where it opened up. It opened up here. So yeah, that would not be invalidated anymore. I would not short. Amit says, what's your method for creating support and resistance levels? What is your process to confirm it's been broken? Like if it's at a gap, let's say this is our gap that we're using as resistance. Well, price passed it. So it's been broken. It's no longer as good of support. You can say it's a previous gap fill, so it could have some limited support, but not as good. Ronald says, how do you scale in and out of price spikes? Well, if a price spikes and goes up, something like this, opens here, goes up 40%, you find a support level, you'd be like, all right, I'll short it here. And then wait for it to start moving down or trade it, accordingly. Like price spikes are good, especially for us as traders, especially when you're talking about day trading, because we know the expected move of something. And after something moves, like let's say an institution sells a bunch of shares, so something, the price will fall. We'll buy some because we're like, okay, if this continues to fall, there's this great support level. I'll buy it here. Or I can just think, okay, this thing is going to bounce. This thing doesn't typically move so much in a short period of time. And there's bound to be movement in the other way, a rebound. Does news/earnings affect your recommendations on TA? Yes, absolutely. Of course, we mainly use TA, but of course we'll use some fundamentals, especially in things like the dividend trader or the hodler, or something that we're trading long term. We'll of course consider fundamentals, like for example for NIO. NIO has a great chart, right? A great wedge pattern, great chart. But another reason why we like it is because Tesla's doing worse in China. Elon Musk is now part of the United States government, so China might be weary to continue to allow Teslas to be so prominent in China. So Tesla's China sales, you've seen a fall off there. We expect significantly more fallback there. But for something like NIO, right? For NIO, this is a Chinese electric vehicle company. So if Tesla goes down, there has to be something that steps up. And we, believe NIO is going to be that potentially next thing. Andrea says, after many weeks of red candles, Novo Nordisk, NVO, the Ozempic creators, seems like a good opportunity to buy. When and where is the bottom potentially? Yeah, on this thing, just continuing to trade along support. I think potentially you see a little more movement down to, I'd potentially be a buyer. Look here around this level. Let me get in a little closer. There are tons of gaps, but I like this one, the 73.6 level. So if it's trading up here, that's 5% lower. You could also look at somewhere like here, around 8% lower, around the 71.75 mark. Abba says, what is the key to be a successful trader? I think it's just managing your emotions, not being afraid to take a loss. If you go in with the mentality that you have to win every single trade, right, that will make you hold on to a losing trade too long. Sometimes it's better to take a small loss. Sometimes a small loss is a win. Ashton says, what do you think about a smaller trader using options? Yeah, I again, we don't really use options here in the office, but I know a lot of people use it. Just know that options are extremely risky. Carl said, why don't you always take the targets necessarily that you put on a stock? It's because for swing trades, which I understand. When you're in a swing trade, right, you might have an upside target, a measured move of whatever, like positive 30%, right? But you might only take 20%. But something you have to understand, the way it gets to 20% is just as important as the target that we set when we first entered the trade. So if something goes up 15, 20% in a single day, yeah, we're going to take it. We're not going to greed and hold for the 30%, because when you have significant moves like that, sometimes there is a retrace, right? Things may go against you, may come back. So additionally, new levels of support or resistance may occur, and we're constantly looking at the charts. The chart is not the same from when we open it and when we close it, obviously. So there are tons of different factors that may change our price target. David said, most of your TA is based on candles. When should you take note of volume? Yeah, you can take note of volume when there are huge spikes, like a day like this. But there are other indicators that we use that take note of volume, like RSI, VWAP, moving averages, etc., etc. Michael says, do you need more than one monitor for trading? Is there any rule that Gareth recommends? I'm a newbie, so I'd like to know how to approach this. Basically, is one monitor enough so you become experienced? Then it's essential as your experienced trader, or do you think I should just ignore this thing and trade with one monitor? Does it matter in terms of day trading, swing trading, position trading? Thank you very much. Yeah, I think for swing trading, it doesn't matter how many monitors you have. But for day trading, it's usually good to have two monitors, just so you have one monitor dedicated to the charts and another one dedicated to the your brokerage. Rich Geneva says, you often talk about time counts. Can you explain what this is? It's 6 candles in the same direction, either green or red, basically. Um, that's a time count, and it favors a move to the other side. Sorry, guys, I'm just reading through, and we answered a bunch of these questions. Sam says, is there a way you can make videos on how to make money from shorts for those that only know how to buy what they don't hold and sell what they hold? I would like to make money in bear markets. Yeah, if you sell, just go to your brokerage and click on sell instead of buy when you don't currently own the stock and you're going to short it. Let's say you short it up here. So this went down, $2.29, which equates to 2.6% roughly. So you would get 2.6% return on whatever investment capital you put in to short the stock. Jacob says, do you face a problem when securities are not available for shorting? Do you partner with brokerages to make sure it's always available for shorting? Generally, we're not going to trade anything that is hard to short or hard to borrow. You can use things like a share locator to find stocks to short, but not every single brokerage has that available to them. Scott says, if I were to subscribe to all services, is there a discount if you're involved in everything? Not at the current time, but that's not a bad idea. CCC. Morgan says, when you describe various commodities such as gold and palladium, what ticker symbols are you using to trade those? There's a couple. You can use an ETF like this, PALL, to trade palladium. For gold, you can use GLD for the spiders, Gold Trust. So those are just a couple, but you can look it up online. Just type in gold or palladium ETFs. Rocket says, what is the strongest indicator you see to place a day trade? For me, it's a VWAP, the volume weighted average price. Dr. B has a course about that if you want to learn more about it. What exchange, Dan says, can I use to trade short crypto? You can use Blowfin. I talked about it at the beginning of this video. There's no KYC. You can use up to 150 times leverage, and it's a great crypto exchange. Paul says, what is the best time frame for day trading? I would say the 1 minute or 10 minute, just because you need to be in and out, quickly for these to play out. So 1 minute and 10 minute. Prague says some day traders, gurus, claim to be making $30,000 a day and trying to sell their subscription courses. Are they legit or doing pump and dump, especially in those low float momentum stocks that go up 100 to 200 to 30, 300%? I see you never talk about those low floaters. Any reasons not to be traded low floater penny stocks that move significantly every day? Yeah, because if there's no we need two things to trade in the day as day traders. We need volume and volatility, right? Those penny stocks, while they have a lot of volatility, they might not have that much volume, right? So if we're trading, to make $30,000 in a day, I'll explain it like this. We have $1 million account we trade on, right? 30K in one day is not unheard of for us, but you can look back at our live trading room experience and see how well we did, but generally 30K in a day is not something we do. We'll definitely get past 30K in a week, but how much money do these gurus have to trade, right? Are they transparent with what they're trading, right? Are they what are they doing? I think if it sounds too good to be true, I would caution against this. And I'll be honest, some of our services, like our day trading room, seem potentially too good to be true. That's why I tell people to give it a try. Verify our trades, give it a try for a day or a week. It's $150, I believe, for a week pass. Let us pay for your subscription. Let us prove to you that we're real, because these are trades we're taking ourselves. Because when we make money, you make money as well. Gene says, has AMD finally bottomed? It was beaten down. Yeah, this thing has been gotten crushed. It appears so, right? This thing is finally getting a bounce. See this. Show this. But you potentially have some resistance coming up. Could even draw a little trend line like this. So you still have a couple levels of resistance coming up, but this kind of looks good, right? The stock is beaten down. Let's see here. Being down over 53% from its all-time highs back in March, right? So about almost a year ago, so 11 months ago. So you're definitely expecting another significant move up, but it just has all these levels of resistance it now has to get through. Dave says, do we receive texts for entry and exit positions if we join smart money stocks and ETFs? Yes, you get a mobile notification via our verified investing app. Do we have free 1 week trials? No, we don't have 1 week trials for any of our services. But you're free to try it for a month, right? $150 a month. Or for the live day trading room, $50 for a day. If you take all our trades, provided, it's a winning day, and the majority of our days, I'd say 98% of our days are winning days, you should pay for your subscription of $50, regardless of account size. Sean says, do you ever consider making picks that go in the market directions? Bear-like market, picking more bears versus bulls based on how extended the stock is. Yeah, I don't think that the overall market sentiment will necessarily dictate. Like, if we're in a bull market, right, and we're bullish on things like Celsius, right, and NIO, right, and Wolf, right, we're generally bearish on these stocks. So, or bullish, sorry, excuse me. We're generally bullish on these stocks, and it's a bull market. So I don't think that the overall market sentiment will dictate what we choose to do. But when it's a bull market, things are more likely to be overextended to the upside. But the problem is it's kind of risky and kind of difficult to pick the exact top. Mohammed says, is the news of SoundHound on NVIDIA selling its shares a good opportunity for a swing trade? Potentially, but here's the thing. Why was SoundHound up? SoundHound was up off of news that NVIDIA had invested in it, right? So if that was what was propping it up, right, holding this stock up, it's going to collapse when stock falls. Chuck says, how do you determine the length of time you place on your swing trade? It's not based on time. Rather, it's based on just like when our target is met, whatever that is. Does a pullback on gold signal a sell on individual miners short term? Yes. Because when gold goes up, the miners will go up. And when gold comes down, the miners will go down because their entire business is predicated on the price of gold. Robert says, is smart money stocks and ETFs in a live trading room every day? No, that's a different service. We have smart money stocks and ETFs and the Apex live day trading room, two totally different services. Marcus says, should we expect mining stocks to rally based on the current run up on gold? Again, they trade hand in hand. So gold having a decent day today, despite having a bad day on Friday, we should see miners have a pop. Annex says, thoughts on IQ's earnings report this week? Yeah, they have earnings tomorrow morning. I think that the chart generally looks pretty good, pretty bullish. However, if earnings are really bad, it could absolutely fall. So again, just reading through the comments, trying to find comments we didn't address. Pamela says, on down index days that strengthen into the close, is that generally a good overnight trade bet to recovery on the next day? Statistically speaking, I think potentially, yeah. Probability wise, yes. In my experience, I've seen it move to the upside, but it's not always necessarily the case. There are different, okay, for example, if the markets are down because Trump announces tariffs, right? Yeah, if the next day he says that he's going to put a pause in those for a month, yeah, those are going to absolutely rip, right? But what if he says that they're actually going to be harsher the next day? Then it'll continue to fall even significantly, and you won't be able to get out of your trade. If he says it like at night when the markets are closed. Abraham says, do you recommend me buying put options when I'm not allowed to do short selling an IRA account? You could just buy an inverse ETF. So let's take a look at NVIDIA. If you wanted to short NVIDIA, you could buy NVDS. This is an ETF that goes up when NVIDIA goes down. NVIDIA has gone up significantly, so the price of NVDS has followed suit, has gone down. So when NVIDIA eventually comes down, that you can expect this to go up. Jacob says, how if we get hit with an earnings in a recession in 2025, how would that affect verified investing style and earnings? We make money if the markets go up or go down. We do not care. If it goes up or go down, we will short in a bull market if it's too overextended, and we'll go long in a bear market if it starts crashing down significantly. We'll make money either way. I don't think it will impact us at all. Rather just give us more things to potentially trade. Petro, we trade stocks in the live day trading room. He says, are most stocks tradable during pre-market and post-market? Yes. It says, I use Thinkorswim platform, but often can't make the before or after market trade. You just need to change your settings to aftermarket. Just because I use Thinkorswim sometimes and I trade after pre-market with no problem. Andrew says, I've been a member of Smart Money Stocks and ETFs for a long time. Now that the other services are added, should I be adjusting position size to accommodate the extra trades, or have you guys adjusted your percentage portfolio to make it so our account won't be maxed out because of all the new trades? Yeah, I think that you should allocate a specific, whatever you're comfortable with, like however you want to build it up. If you want to use 100% of your portfolio to trade swing trades, fair enough. You don't need to use the other stuff. But if you want to use like day trading, then you can allocate 10% of your portfolio there, or 15%, or whatever. Lars says, what's the price of your day trading service? What's included in it? So it's $400 a month for the premium version of it. You have access to every single trade we take. You have access to a live chat that you can ask myself, Gareth, Ben, Dr. B, Drew questions on. There's a free trade setup scanner that uses AI to find trades for you, and you have dedicated coaching. There's a $250 a month level that you only get the first 2 trades of the day that are closed out, and then you're done. For the day, you have no access to a live chat, so you can't talk to us traders. You don't get the detailed coaching, and you don't get the trade up setup scanner. Ralph says, do you think Carvana is getting to a short level? Yeah, we think it favors a move to the downside. Paul says, could you give your thoughts on silver for the short term? Yeah, this big solid red candle, it kind of gapped up, right? Gapped up 2.5%, which is a significant move. But huge red candle filled a bunch of gaps. Filled this gap. Most importantly, I think that this is potential head and shoulders pattern. You can see an even bigger head and shoulders pattern starting to form. If you see, another shoulder come through, you're looking at a potential move on silver. Should this play out perfectly, which rarely does, down here, it's like $20. Significant move. You're talking about 25% move down if it plays out. Paul says, one-day trading, do you set limit orders before the market opens or just wait until you see market action? Generally, it depends. We watch the pre-market to see if any levels are coming near in the pre-market, expecting a bounce immediately. But generally, we take a look, and if there's nothing in the pre-market, then we'll just wait and watch the market after the open. Andrea says, I have 2 years of crypto trading experience. I use Bybit, Binance, Weex for trading and trading view graphs analysis. What else do I need if I want to join smart money stocks, ETF trading? Thanks. Yeah, Andres, congratulations on wanting to join that. If you really are interested in joining smart money stocks and ETFs, you need a brokerage that can trade stocks, right? So whether that's Moomoo or that's Thinkorswim, Charles Schwab, Interactive Brokers, there's tons and tons and tons of different ones. So I would say that get a brokerage, learn how to use it, and you should be good to go. Jacob says, what is the TradingView subscription level that you recommend? For a long time, I traded on the free one. You don't necessarily need, until you learn how to use all those indicators and everything, you don't necessarily need a higher level one. Lori says, when we say day trade, does that mean in and out in one day, or the exit can roll over into another day? We're talking about when we say day trade, we're in and out within the same day. With the sim, I just want to clarify what screeners are available I can use to identify the largest screeners or most losers before the market opens in order to select all the potential stocks to trade. There's a bunch, like on TradingView, you could just, on any list, you can sort by percentage movers. WRD moved the most, yes, on Friday from the stocks in this list. But of course, that'll change depending on what list you're looking at. So, Dom says, question on risk management and position sizing. I have a 10K account and risk, at max 2%, which is $200 max. I currently do around up to 10 ads to average in, but most trades close in profit after the first entry in one ad, leaving me with tens in the profit. However, after a loss on a full position, I lose 2%. That's $200. I never seem to get anywhere. What advice would you give? I would say just move your stop loss closer. It's important to have a good risk to reward ratio. If you see that your wins aren't making up for your losses, then make it tighter. Maybe change your loss to 180 or 150. Excuse me. Or even $100. We trade shares, not options. Mirror. What is the fastest execution to enter a trade through TradingView? Robert says you can trade directly on here. You should just click trade. And you can change these, right, settings. You can go to your settings and trade these. And instead of one, you can have it auto preset to 100 shares or whatever and link into your brokerage. If you want to trade directly on TradingView platform, that's not something I do. I have my brokerage up on another screen and I'm able to just trade instantaneously whenever I want to get in. I can just go and click a button on my other screen and then get in. That's why we generally recommend having more than one screen when you're day trading. Keith says, what time frames do you utilize most when looking for support and resistance? For example, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year. Depends on the stock. A lot of times I use the daily. If not the daily, then I'll go to the weekly and then the monthly. I generally don't use the 1 year as much unless I'm looking at like the S&P or something like that. Paul says, do you day trade crypto? Yeah, we do day trade crypto. We day trade crypto in the smart money crypto service. Cody says, I watch the game plan trading close every day. Why is Marvel going down despite no negative news? Let's see. Okay, I'm not sure why. Marvel dropped down, probably because it's related to AMAT, but then it, retraced, popped back up, and closed green. I'd say that, when other things in the sector, if it's like a sympathy play, if NVIDIA starts tanking, you can expect that the other semis are going to follow suit. see. Dylan says starting a spot long position for Bitcoin. Was thinking around the 75K mark. Told for 10 years. Thank you for your time. Yeah, that's potentially a good move. I think that we're in general bullish on the long-term implications of Bitcoin, but it's not necessarily the case that it's going to go straight up. It might have chops up and down, but we're generally bullish on Bitcoin as a long-term play. All right, guys, I have to call it there. It's been like an hour and 11 minutes. My brain is exploding, but thank you so much for your questions, and thank you for being part of the Verified Investing community. I hope you guys enjoyed that Get Smart event. Again, my name is Lawton Ho here with Verified Investing. You can follow me here on Twitter at Lawton Investing. I go live every single day. The markets are open from 8:45 to 9:20. Whew, that was a lot. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening. I hope to see you tomorrow. There's a couple more questions I just couldn't get to. I'm toast, but again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you on the trading room, in the trading floor, in our office, in the chat. But yeah, have a good one. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.